Good morning, Boker Tov, right here in Yerushalayim, and it's Erev Shabbat Kodesh Parashat Vayeshev, right here in Rechavia, and you see right next to me is our car menorah, all ready to spread the miracles of Chanukah, Bezrat Hashem, and in a week from Sunday, we're going to have our big car menorah parade all around Rechavia Nachlaot in Yerushalayim, and if you're here, you're welcome to join us. And either with your menorah on top of your car or within the window. So Bezrat Hashem, as many people as possible should be able to enjoy the great Chag of Chanukah. Welcome everybody to the Kabbalah Café of Erev Shabbat Parshat Vayeshev. We are going to now learn something very, very beautiful concept into the whole idea of the Haftorah of this week. If anybody would like to sponsor this Kabbalah Café or any other shiur or any other event, please let me know, especially considering the fact that we have almost 2,000 menorahs, Chanukiyot, which we're going to be giving out. So this would be a great zechut, a great opportunity for all of you and all of us. This week, we celebrated Yutet Kislev, which is the Chag HaGeula, the holiday of redemption of the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad, 232 years ago. This idea of Yutet Kislev can be very strongly connected to this week's Parsha. The Alter Rebbe, it is known that the Alter Rebbe opposed Napoleon. Napoleon was a very strong force, not only a great general, but also he was a witcher, and he had powers to be able to do things from a distance. Now, the Alter Rebbe was one of the world Jewish leaders that held that Napoleon should lose the war. אני מצטער. זה עד 10. בסדר, מה שאתם רוצים.
עד 10?
כן.
מה עד 10?
זה שיעור, עכשיו אני עושה שיעור.
אתה עושה שיעור?
אין בעיה, בסדר גמור. תודה רבה אם אתם רוצים, בשמחה להישאר ולהקשיב. And so the Alter Rebbe, there were other great tzaddikim who wanted that Napoleon should win, because they knew that when Napoleon will win, then he will then the situation, the materialistic situation of Am Yisrael will be much more will be much more successful. But for the Alter Rebbe was more important to have a spiritual success rather than materialistic wealth. And so what happened was that Rosh Hashanah morning, the great tzaddik, the Chernobyl Rebbe, he woke up early to blow the shofar, because it was known that when the tzaddik blows the shofar, then that brings a special blessing. But he didn't realize that the Alter Rebbe woke up even earlier than him, and instead of davening first, the first thing he did was that he blew the shofar, and then he realized that the Chernobyl realized, the Rabbi Zalman already did the shofar first, and that's what's going to happen. He's going to win. So when Napoleon heard, he realized with his witchcraft that the Alter Rebbe opposed him. He wanted to do everything in his power, God forbid, to get rid of the Alter Rebbe. So the Alter Rebbe found out with his Ruach HaKodesh that Napoleon was coming close to him to try to catch up to him. And so the Alter Rebbe ran away, and later on he sent someone back to get his slipper. The point that I'm trying to get at is that we realize that the French were specifically, they resembled a great level of anti-kedusha, anti-holiness, and therefore the Alter Rebbe did his best to be able to counter that, and he was successful despite the fact that Napoleon and his armies had a tremendous amount of victories. But when it came to the ultimate, the final level, he was unable to win the war, and he lost the war. Now, the Rebbe in 1933, the Rebbe ran away from Nazi Germany when Hitler, Yamach Shemo, came to power, and he went to France, and the Rebbe was there until 1941. It is known that the Rebbe, besides learning in Sorbonne, the Rebbe did many things that we are totally unaware of, but there are a couple of books that have been written of the amazing work, the spiritual work that the Rebbe has done in France. Now, the Alter Rebbe, when he was running away, just a little while before he passed away, unfortunately, he passed away because of because of Napoleon chasing after him and having to run from place to place. The Alter Rebbe asked, "Can you please tell me what is Napoleon's march?" And they sang it to him, and he said, "This is a real song of nitzachon, of victory." And till today, Hasidim sing this nigun, Napoleon's march. Now we know that the Rebbe would teach a new song on Simchas Torah in the wee hours of the morning, starting from around 1962 or 1963. So I believe it was Yom Kippur 1973 or 1974, not Yom Kippur, rather Simchas Torah. All of a sudden, the Rebbe started to sing the French national anthem. Now, this was something which was a big shock to many people, especially the French. There was a big group from France every year that would come and spend Tishrei with the Rebbe. And all of a sudden, the Rebbe starts to sing, Haderet v'amuna l'chai olamim, habina v'abracha l'chai olamim, hagava v'agdula l'chai olamim, hadea v'adibur l'chai olamim. And the Hasidim could not understand how could the Rebbe be singing such special words with such a song from the French, especially due to what we just said earlier, that the French were considered a great power. Napoleon, that represented them. They represented a very strong power which opposed anything which was spiritual and holy. And then the Rebbe explained that it has come the time to take this special nigun and to use it for Kedusha, for holiness. Now let's look for a moment into the Haftorah for this week. In the Haftorah, there is a special prophecy of when Mashiach is going to come. And this prophecy says as follows, Hagalut Hachel Hazeh Tzarfat. That this Galut, which is beginning, has to do with Tzarfat. And then when Mashiach will come, it will be Ve'alu Moshim Bahar Tzion Lishpot et Haresav V'Yital Hashem HaMelucha. What do we see from here? That Tzarfat, which is France, represents a very strong opposition to Kedusha. That is connected with the epitome of Galut, of exile. And when Mashiach comes, also the French, mainly the French, but also the French, will also come back to Kedusha. In other words, they will cease to oppose Yiddishkeit, because there will be a level where also the French will also be elevated to a higher state of Kedusha, of holiness. So what do we see over here? We see that when the Rebbe started to sing the song of the French national anthem, not only that, but he connected it to the words, Ha'aderet v'amuna l'chai olamim, how beauty and the faith and blessing and understanding belongs to l'chai olamim. So even the French should come to the recognition that Hashem is the master of the universe and runs everything. That means that is a great step in the positive direction of preparing the world for Mashiach. It is known that when the chief Chabad rabbi of France, Rabbi Shmuel Azimov, of blessed memory, who passed away about 5 or 6 years ago and is buried here in Yerushalayim. When they went out, I believe it was in the early 70s, the Rebbe told Rebbetzin Azimov, she was very concerned to go out there. It was considered a very, very remote place at the time. The Rebbe said, Hazarim b'dima, b'rina yiktsaru. Those that sow with tears will be able to reap with rejoicing. In other words, the Rebbe hinted to her that him and the Rebbetzin did a lot of work as far as spiritual outreach in their own way. When they were in France for 7 or 8 years, and you, the Azimov couple, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Azimov, will go, you'll be so successful, Berina Yiksoru. And it's very well aware, you can look at this all around the world, that the French, the amount of Baalei Tshuva that the Azimov couple have done and the other shluchim is incomparable to anywhere else in the world. There are tens of thousands of Baalei Tshuva in Paris and in France. I believe there are about 120 or 130 shluchim just in Paris itself. It's unbelievable, the ma'apecha, the spiritual unbelievable accomplishment that has been done in France. In other words, this is a great symbol of what it says in the Haftorah, that even though France symbolizes the opposition to Kedusha, nevertheless, one of the great signs that Mashiach is coming is that even the French will also come around. And if you look in the history books, you will see that about a month or two after the Rebbe started to sing this nigun of Ha'aderet Va'amuna, the French government added on an introduction to the song. And this is how it goes. Tan tarai, taran tarai, tan tarai, taran tarai, tan 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 tan. Dun, 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 dun. Now that's not part of the Kedusha nigun, because that was an addition to the nigun that the Rebbe changed to Kedusha. Only a tzaddik has this power to be able to take a nigun, especially a nigun from a song from the opposite of Kedusha, from the Klippa, and to bring it into the realm of Kedusha. And I believe it was 1981 that they got rid of that introduction. They went back to the previous thing. But we see that there are some special powers which bring about the converting of an impure nigun into Kedusha. And that represents, a national anthem is not just a song. That represents the essence of the country. And so the fact that this was turned over into Kedusha is a great sign that we are coming closer to the coming of Mashiach. So to wrap up this subject, you'll notice a trend. Even in the past 220 years, 250 years, that back then there was a great opposition, even from the Alter Rebbe, for France and for Napoleon. In other words, perhaps it was clear that it wasn't yet the right time to elevate France and whatever the French represented. But as we get closer to the coming of Mashiach, and it seems to be that it was no simple task, it seems to be that it was a very, very difficult challenge for the Rebbe to do his work from 1933 to 1941. But Baruch Hashem, he was extremely successful. What the Rebbe did in his work was tremendously successful. And of course, that was preparing the ground for Rabbi and Rebbetzin Azimov to do their shlichut. So tomorrow in Shul, you're all invited to join us. At 8:30, we're going to do Tehillim for Shabbos Mavarchim for the month of Tevet. Next Shabbos is Rosh Chodesh. and the following day, Sunday, in a week from this Sunday, will be Rosh Chodesh as well. And Bezrat Hashem, we should be able to be. You should join us also for the davening, for Chassidus and davening at 9:30, and then we'll be able to hear the Haftorah where V'alu Moshim Bahar Tzion Mishpotet Hareisav, that the whole scenario with Esav should be. It's also a great level of coming closer to Kedusha and preparing for the coming of Mashiach, and we should merit that this Shabbos itself we should be able to celebrate together with Mashiach Tzidkenu right here in Yerushalayim, and everyone should have a wonderful Chanukah. And don't forget to give out as many menorahs, as many Chanukiyot, and candles to all of your neighbors and friends who may not have Chanukiyot on their own. And we have many at Chabad, so you're welcome to come and to pick up a bunch. All the best. Have a Shabbat Shalom. Hadaras Ramona L'chaya. Listen, if the French are singing the words, Hadaras Ramona. Shabbat Shalom, Chanukah Sameach.